Welcome back. Let's bring you this story now. The public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, is facing pressure from some in the ANC and its alliance partners. At the heart of the matter is her investigation of a campaign donation by Bosasa towards President Cyril Ramaphosa's bid for the ANC's top job. There have been comments, I should say, from the SACP and, of course, the latest figure being ANC chairperson Gwede Mantashe also weighing in on this matter. Well, Opa Sekhalwe speaks now for the public protector and he joins me in studio. Mr. Sekhalwe, thank you very much for giving us your time. Let's start with this particular question. When is Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane releasing her final report on this matter against the president?
Well, you would know by now that the president submitted his responses to the Section 79 notice that was served on him by the public protector. That submission was received yesterday and the public protector is considering it and applying her mind. It's not easy for one to say exactly when the public protector will be in a position to issue a report. Safe to say she is applying her mind to that submission by the president, and when she is ready she will make an announcement as to when the report will be issued.
Mr. Sekhalwe, the suspicions abound at the moment that the longer she takes to release this report, it feeds into this narrative that she is playing into the political space. And of course, the latest figure that we are saying in that intro being Gwede Mantashe, the chairperson of the ANC, who is questioning. And I want to put the question to you. He says, why is the public protector focusing on one ANC presidential candidate when in the run-up to that Nasrec conference, there were 6 other candidates?
Unfortunately, that question, with respect, is based on ignorance. The public protector did not just wake up and decide that she was going to look into the conduct of the president in relation to this matter. She received a complaint from the Democratic Alliance in November last year, in which Mr. Mmusi Maimane was alleging that the president breached the executive code of ethics. You will know that the public protector is the only institution in the country that has the power to enforce executive ethics under the Executive Members Ethics Act. Now, that law is very clear in terms of who can lodge complaints with the public protector. Me and you as ordinary citizens do not have that entitlement to file a complaint alleging a breach of the ethics code. It can only be members of parliament or members of provincial legislatures in the case of provinces. And essentially what that means is that members of parliament who sit on opposition benches can then use that law to hold those members of parliament and others like the president who are part of the executive accountable. And the public protector, in terms of that law, is obliged to investigate, and therefore she may not say, no, I'll refer this to somebody else and so forth. That's why you don't see investigations into other people, because the complaint was specific, it related to the president.
Mr. Sekhalwe, I'm going to ask you to be quite brief with the last few questions I have for you, because we're running against time. But for the record, on this question or on this element of money laundering, did the public protector give the president extra time? No, that's actually not the question. Did the public protector give President Ramaphosa the opportunity to question Mr. Gavin Watson on this 500,000 rand donation?
Yes, the public protector did give the president an opportunity to do that by way of sending written questions through the public protector to Mr. Watson. And as of this morning, Mr. Watson is yet to respond, but processes are underway to ensure that those responses are generated and reach the president.
And I hope you got my question well, because I said specifically on this issue of money laundering, or on this money laundering question by the Democratic Alliance. So it was on that basis that the president was given the opportunity to question Mr. Watson.
It was on the basis of the entire investigation insofar as it relates to the donation by Mr. Watson to the president's CR17.
Why did the public protector deem it necessary for her to do that, for her to grant the president the opportunity to question Watson?
The President, as an implicated party, is entitled to that opportunity. The Act, specifically Section 7, subsection 9 of the Public Protector Act, does give implicated parties that right to question through the Public Protector any witness that may have appeared before the Public Protector to give evidence in relation to a matter under investigation.
Mr. Sekhwale, on a separate matter now, it's come to our attention that the Public Protector may have received a complaint against Mr. Shadrack Sibiya. He's the head of Johannesburg's Forensic Investigative Unit, and a complaint against Mr. David Tembe, who heads the JMPD. Can you confirm if the Public Protector is indeed investigating the complaints against these two individuals?
Yes, in fact, the complaint is against the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. It was received as far back as March last year. And among other things, the complainants, which is the ANC and the SACP in that region, are questioning, among other things, the salary increase for Mr. Sibiya.
How much is that salary increase?
Well, I'm not in a position to state the details, but they're saying he was appointed at a particular level, but he's being paid at a higher level. And that's the allegation from them. The Public Protector is investigating.
Can I cut to the chase?
Yes.
Is it your information, is it the nature of this complaint that Mr. Shadrack Sibiya's salary was bumped up to R1 million?
Well, as I said, I can't enter into a debate on the finer details because I might just jeopardize the investigation because it's still underway. The Public Protector is in the process of interviewing witnesses in relation to that matter. But it is broader than Mr. Sibiya and Mr. Tembe. It touches on issues of alleged conflict of interest involving the mayor in that he had appointed allegedly a company in which his wife played a particular role. So it's much broader than that, and it's underway. The Public Protector, as I said, is in the process of gathering evidence by way of interviewing witnesses. So it's still ongoing.
Mr. David Tembe, what's the nature of the complaint against him?
The nature of the complaint against Mr. Tembe is that his credentials or his qualifications for the job he holds are in question, according to the complainant.
Specifically what? A matric certificate?
Among other things, yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Opa Sekhwale, and thanks indeed for at least telling us that the Public Protector is now weighing her mind in as far as the response of the President on the issue of the Bosasa donation. Thank you indeed for your time. Opa Sekhwale speaks for the Public Protector's